Hey kids, this is Trigger Mortis, and I just want to talk briefly about writing for anime parodies, which is kind of what I do. We're going to go over how I do it, and these could probably be applied to other sorts of writing projects, but since I don't have any other writing projects, this is, how it is. So just in case you don't know, what I do is I'll take an entire series of a show, 40, 50 something episodes, and I'll take the little crazy bits of them, rearrange them, rewrite them, and turn it into one regular sized episode. So what I'll do to start off with is I'll have a lot of different scenes, a lot of different crazy video that I'll say, okay, I want to make a scene around this crazy thing happening. And then what I'll do is once I have a bunch of those going, then what I'll do is I'll take a sheet of paper and I'll make a grid pattern on it with a bunch of boxes on it. And like this. So what I'm going to do then is I can start here in the top left with the opening scenes, and then it'll go all the way down to the bottom to the lower right to where it ends. And when I'm doing this, I always know how it's going to end first. That's always the first thing that I figure out. How is it going to end? And why do I always figure that out first? I have no idea. What I can tell you is that I love closing, the very, very end of the show, and then closing credits, and then, little crazy things that come after the credits. I don't know why. That's like my favorite part of anything. So I'll always come up with how it's going to end first. So I'll write that down, and then what I'll do is I'll then usually have a general idea about how it should start. So then I'll write down these things up here about how it's going to start. And then all the stuff in the middle, I'm just going to write down things that I know want to happen, and then I'll figure out the order of them later. So why do I do it this way, where I find out the ending and then the beginning and then all the middle stuff? Well, it's great to know the ending, so you know this is where we're going to end up. That's very important, because if you just have you ever see a show where it's like, it's going, and you're like, oh wow, this scene's great, and then the ending comes, and it's like, oh, well, what happened? Well, that was crap. So if you know how the ending's going to be, it's much easier to work towards that, so you know where you're going to end up. And then at the beginning, you have a beginning point, an end point, and then so you know where you need to go. You don't just start off somewhere and then think, okay, well, eventually I'm going to end up in some fantastic place. It's better to know where you're going from the beginning. This should also help you from meandering around too much, if you have a clear goal in mind. So once I have kind of a general outline of the show, I have the beginning, I have the end, and then I have a bunch of stuff that I think will fill up the middle part, then I'll start writing the script. And that's just regular old script writing, which just requires time and not being a complete idiot. So it's in this actual script writing process that most of the other bugs are worked out, where I know I have an idea for a scene, I have this thing, somebody's head explodes or whatever, I don't care, and I don't want to write a scene around that. So I'll start writing the scene, and then what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll look at the footage that I have, and I'll say, well, do I have enough footage to actually make this scene work? And usually I don't. So I'll either do one of two things, or usually both. I'll try looking for more footage from different scenes that I can, force into this scene. So most of the scenes that you'll see in my shows are all made up of several different scenes from several different episodes. So very few of the actual scenes that you see are just that scene. So after possibly finding new footage, the other thing that I'll have to go back and do is just rewrite the scene. This usually takes the form of switching lines around. So some people I wanted to be talking or not talking, or whatever. And then comes the long process of editing it all together, recording all the lines, doing all the sound effects and everything. Blah. Oh my gosh, takes forever. And that's how I make the magic happen. The other thing that I like to do, is just kind of as a little side note, is I have lots of crazy things that just like jump into my head at random times for no reason whatsoever. So what I'll do is I'll actually just write them down. When I hear something weird, or I think something weird, or some sort of joke comes into my head, I write it down. So I have this big, long Word file just with a list of crazy things in it. And so anytime while I'm writing a script, I can just pull from that, and boom, I have some random crazy thing to say. So that kind of helps out a little bit as well. And that was my very quick tutorial on how you write yourself an anime parody. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you again later. Have fun.